is going to be the hardest we've pushed it since I put everything back on, so fingers crossed it drives out.
The torque down low is insane, the difference. It's like double.
It's better everywhere. It's a different car. Where is the restriction? You can see here there is gains to be made and substantial gains to be made.
Alright, so we're back here at Goody's Garage with Eric. Since I've had the cam and a bit more compression into the Patrol, I thought probably a good idea to get it timed up again. This is going to be the hardest we've pushed it since I put everything back on, so fingers crossed it drives out. See how we go. Alright, so why am I actually putting this car on the dyno? So if you had seen the earlier video, I've pretty much rebuilt half the motor, the half that was worn out. So I went to do a head gasket, found that the head was A, aftermarket, and B, warped. Went with a genuine Japanese head off another Patrol that I had skimmed, so I took 40 thou off it, which is bumped the compression from 8.3 to 1 to 9.1 to 1. And then when I had the head off, I thought, oh, I'll pull the lifters out and see how worn they are. Two of them were completely lunched, which had also chewed the nose off a couple of cam lobes. So then the cam had to come out, so heaps more work, but got it all done. Go back and check that out if you're interested, but ended up going with the Crow Cam's high torque cam. So obviously new cam, more compression. The thing needs retuning. It was running rich just because of the difference in the motor. So yeah, keen to get it on the dyno, get it all tuned up and see what sort of numbers we can push.
So last time you got 63 kilowatts on the dyno.
There's a 0.2 there, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What are we expecting today? What's your prediction?
That is really the $1 million question.
Because what have you done to the motor? Like you put a new cam in it.
So new cam, it's gone from 8.3 to 9.1 to 1 compression.
Yep.
New intake,
Yep.
So got rid of the old LPG airbox and I've gone for GU airbox, 3-inch intake, Control Doctor adapter.
Yep.
Still got the gas hat on there. I'd like to say 70 kilowatts.
Okay.
But I think the power curve will come on a lot harder.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
it used to make peak at like, they peak pretty high. I feel like it's going to peak at like 2.5, 3 now,
Yep.
RPM,
Yep. Yep.
and then trail off. So
Yep.
keen to see what the numbers actually
That's
show
getting
us.
very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's go.
What we're initially going to do, we're looking for what the cruise mixtures look like,
Yeah.
and how the progression of the carburetor works. Like you got idle circuit, primary main, then the power valve, and then secondaries. So we need to see that each step is doing what it needs to do, and it overlaps well. So we don't end up with a lean spot or a rich spot. So that's the first step. Once we've done with that, then we'll go to the other screen and do a wide open and see where it's at.
Yep.
And we'll look and see if this has any bearing upon the air-fuel ratio.
Yep.
Once we're happy with that, we can play with timing to see does it want more or does it want less from the setup.
Yep.
So what you're looking at is these two here. So we're looking at air-fuel ratio at cruise, like in a late model car that's got an oxy sensor in it. This at part throttle will be at STOIC 14.7.
Yep.
So we're looking for the fatter side of that.
Yep.
Because being a carburetor, it doesn't distribute as well as a multi-point. So we're looking at say 14.5 or it will dictate the terms. That's what we're looking for.
Yep.
And as we accelerate, you'll see the enrichment happen. So cruise should be main jet only, primary main only.
Yep.
And then, like I said, then the enrichment by power valve and then secondary. So, and at wide open, we're looking for a figure approximately 2.5 to 1 or along that line.
Yep.
So as you can see at idle, it's got 18 inches
Yep.
and 13.6 air-fuel ratio, which is pretty much where it needs to be.
Righto.
So 9 inches of vacuum, 14.1. Valve in there. See how it gets fatter? See, that's main jet. You watch as I squeeze, you see the manifold vacuum will fall away, and you'll see the enrichment. Yeah? Alright, so that's primary jet and power valve. And that's wide open. So you can see 12.5 to 1. If you look with a torch, you can actually mechanically see the secondaries open.
Yep.
So it's not bad. It's not bad. So what we'll do is we'll go to the other screen. Makes substantially more than it did before. If you have a look here, this is our air fuel ratio now.
Yep.
That's what it was. So it's actually fatter than it was.
Yep.
So it's got better signal. That's what that tells me.
Yep.
Output wise, this is where we are now.
Wow.
So if you just get the peak figure, so already it's a fair bit better. That's what that tells me. That's in kilowatts. So you've gone from 64. Are we paying by kilowatt or paying by hour? Look here. This is our peak torque, right? So we're at 2,200.
Yep.
As before, we're here. That's what you can feel in your ass. So everywhere, it's really. See how
That's what I was
sluggish.
saying. Down low, it feels a lot better.
Oh, it does. It's better. Look here.
Yeah.
Comparatively, you've gone from where we started mapping before, say 30, 33 kilowatts. Yeah, now it's 60, 62. So that will feel like a race car comparatively. So to me, let's leave this alone for now. We'll flip it over to gas and see what the air fuel looks like.
Yep.
Don't touch this. This is much better than it was.
And so that AFR, we're happy with it leaning out slightly at the higher
Richer.
reps.
It's richer.
Richer, sorry.
You go across here and down to here. See, the blue line's the new one.
Yep. Oh, righto.
So it's a little bit fat there, but not bad. But what a bit more fuel volume does is quench the combustion chamber.
Yep.
So you've got a bit more safety there.
Yeah.
It's not the point where it's going to blow smoke rings.
Yep.
But you've got plenty of through the usable RPM. It's really good.
Yeah.
It just gets fat just towards
That's
the end
like
there.
4.5, isn't
But
it? It's
have a
not
look.
getting
It
there.
just maintains the power much better than it did.
Yeah, way better.
And if you have a look at the torque, which speaks volumes, yeah, right off the hit, off the top of the converter, it's better everywhere. It's a different car.
So the dotted line is torque.
Torque, yeah.
And this is
Yeah, so
power.
your solid line is your kilowatts.
Yep.
Your dotted lines is your tractive effort or your
So the torque down low
is substantial.
is insane. That's
It's
massive. Yeah.
crazy different.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do, we'll flip it over to gas
Yep.
and see what we're looking at.
How'd that first run go?
Good. Made almost 10 more kilowatts, so I'm happy. And the torque down low is insane, the difference. It's like
Crazy.
doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it feels, the numbers show it.
Yeah.
It feels right. Yeah. So we've done that first run on petrol and checked all the mixtures on petrol. Now we've flipped it over to gas to see what it does on LPG.
All right, we're just going to run it and see what our air fuel is.
Yep.
If you look here, if you look at your air fuel ratio, at Lambert in petrol is 14.5.
Yep.
In gas it's 15.5.
Righto.
Because I'm reading off Lambda, I can
yeah.
see if I'm on the fat side.
Yep.
The middle will be Lambda. So
Yep.
I've just fattened the idle mixture up to give us, we got idle quality.
Yep.
What we want to see is when we run the car, where this ends up.
We want 15.5.
And once we've done that, we'll go back and see what the cruise looks like.
Yep. Lean?
Fat.
Oh, fat, isn't it? True, yeah.
Yeah. Look here. Here we spoke about gas being 15.5 at Stoic.
Yep.
We're at 11.5.
Right.
So therefore you can see, even though we've got a very clean line here,
Yep.
when we thin it out, this should come, we probably won't quite get what Petrol's got, but this should be roughly where that red line is.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for.
I haven't been running it on gas because I wasn't sure if it was a bit lean and I didn't want to cook it.
Drink it like a fish.
Right. I figured I'd run the head in on petrol and give it the easiest time of its life.
Yeah. So I've just taken a bit out to
Yep.
see where we end up. Better. So here, this is our line now. Here.
Yep. Yep.
Right? So we're going to take a B stick more out, but I think you'll see. So this is That's the
Gas. Yep.
What we've tweaked there, that's what we had.
Yep.
That's what we've got.
Yep.
That's the difference in output.
Yeah.
So you can see it likes it. I'm not going to give it too much more. We're really close.
Yep.
But I'm just going to tweak it a B-stick, make sure it doesn't fall over, then we know we're in the right spot.
Yep. And that's due to getting better signal again, yeah?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Pretty marginal.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah? I'd rather be a bit thirsty on gas than burning shit.
Hey,
You know?
compared to what you had,
Yeah.
because now there's your air-fuel ratio what you had.
Yep.
That's your air-fuel ratio that you have.
Yeah, right.
And you
Way
can see the difference it's made.
Yep.
You can see the difference. Well, we'll just get on this side and see what it's done to the torque.
So is gas like petrol, leaner's hotter?
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see here, this is the torque difference. Blue is petrol,
Yep.
red or orange, call it what you like,
Yep.
is gas. So you can see there's a distinct difference in torque
Yeah, yep.
and output, but we've now got both fuel curves where they need to be.
Yep.
You're good to go.
And what's the torque scaled in?
Newtons.
Righto.
It's in tractive effort. Newton meters
Yep.
is flywheel.
Yep.
Newtons is tractive effort against the tyre. It's like start with 6 oranges and apples and end up with 10.
Yeah.
Now you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, right.
So looking under the bonnet of the Patrol, Eric noticed that the adapter I'd bought for the gas hat might have been a little bit restrictive in the way that it fits over the top of the gas hat itself. So we decided, as well as power tuning, to run some tests with vacuum lines hooked up and actually load test the car to see if there was a restriction based from that adapter, and then further down the track I can remove that restriction and see if we can gain any power from it.
What we'll have a quick look at is manifold vacuum at wide open.
And if it had heaps of manifold vacuum, you'd know that was too
Yeah,
restrictive.
like so normally you'd see, if you see under 3/4 of an inch,
Yep.
I'd say, sorry I have to speak old man speak because I don't know what that's in bars of Pascals or whatever the hell they talk. So over here, right, so come over to our main menu, come down to manifold gauge pressure.
Yep.
See, it still does make some manifold vacuum. That's interesting. That's got a bit. I'm wondering if you wanted to make the effort, just get this out of the way and we'll run it with nothing.
Yep.
In other words, so it's got no restriction. And that will tell you whether this is restrictive or the pipe diameter is restrictive. So that's what we're determining, because if it makes a substantial difference, then you go, okay, well, this doesn't work in my application.
Yep.
So what's that?
That opens this. So when you're on gas, it draws up through there,
Yeah.
draws the gas in.
Yeah,
There's like a
yeah.
diaphragm it opens. Draws the gas in down the intake, right?
Yeah.
Carby's out of the picture. Well, the butterfly's all that works, no petrol.
Okay.
When you switch it over to petrol, now the carby's doing all the fuel mixing, but this is still in the way, right? Which is not ideal to start
Right,
with.
yeah.
But if it has to draw up through the gas mixer, so it's still operating that diaphragm, which is
Yeah.
doing nothing,
Yeah.
right, except restricting air, then it goes down, then it mixes with petrol. So it's just in the way. Whereas that rotates a cam that lifts this up so the air can go straight in there without having to go up and through
Yeah.
when you're on petrol. It's a mechanical cable that actually opens it and closes it. But it never had one, which is just dodgy gas installs from the 80s.
What I'm looking for, does without that on there make less manifold vacuum?
Yep.
If it does, we should see an improve in the output. And that's what we're looking for.
Yep. I was just saying to Patrick, would it be worthwhile we're testing vacuum? Like, when we run it on petrol, can we open that hat and see what difference it makes? Yeah.
That, on petrol, that's exactly why you've got it there, is to get rid of that restriction or the resistance of that drawing it open. So absolutely, on petrol, so we do a run like that on gas, we'll see if it runs first, is how much difference does that make to the air-fuel ratio when it doesn't have that round? And we'll tell that very quickly when we start. So at idle, you'd expect to see 18 with a standard camshaft, 18 to 21 inches.
Yep.
Yours had about 17 inches.
So it's a little bit low.
So, no, which makes sense. If you've got more lift or a little bit tighter in the load, you're gonna, it will, nothing comes for nothing.
Yeah.
So if you tighten the lobes up, you'll end up with overlap.
Yep.
And that will diminish manifold vacuum. That's not substantial. That just means it has a little bit less than it had with the factory camshaft. So what we're going to look at initially is not manifold vacuum, but air fuel, because again, we want to know that we keep it safe.
Yep.
So we can see now, we're on gas at the minute. This is our output. That's our air fuel. So what we're looking for, does it change the output? Does it change the air fuel? When we've mapped it, then we'll go to manifold vacuum and see, has it made a substantial difference? Or am I talking out of the backside?
Yep. We'll find out.
There's our air fuel difference. That's off.
Yep.
So we're lean, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to with it on.
Yep.
So we'll go across now. That's where we were.
Yep.
That's where we are. So it has made a difference.
Yep.
So it's better everywhere. So if we change the mixture, we will get the air fuel back or the power back.
Yeah.
So that's just as a petrol should make very little difference air fuel wise.
Yep.
So we're going to run it out, just switch it over from gas to petrol.
Yep.
Do it again.
Yep.
And then that will tell you, because obviously you're not going to run it like that, so therefore we're not going to change the air fuel ratio for the time being on gas. Gas is a lot more sensitive.
Yeah, okay.
So switch it over to petrol.
Yep. As far as restriction, is that...
We'll find out. So petrol will tell us a lot better.
As in power-wise.
So I could fatten that up, but it's a theory, because you can't run it unfiltered. You'll dust the engine.
Yeah.
So I'm much more interested to see what the difference on petrol is going to be. So flick it over to petrol. I'll tell this inside petrol.
Yep.
So we're open.
Hey, no, we're not yet. You want it open?
Pull the chain.
Yep.
Good. So that's our air gap now.
Yep.
So we're just going to see. Petrol will be a lot better indicator.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So literally, you're comparing that's petrol before,
Yep.
that's petrol now. So I'll just change the graph so we can actually see what its peak difference is. Okay, so this is petrol only, right?
Yep.
So before, we had a peak, you can see what it does. It literally makes no difference down here.
Yep.
And as soon as we start to get some RPM in it, you can see that it opens it up. It also has leaned the mixture out.
Yep.
Not substantially,
Yep.
but it has made a significant difference. And what's it done to the torque? There you go. It's a rocket ship. Now your peak is 4.
So that's
a 10. That's a massive
with
improvement.
1, so yeah, so 6. 6 just by taking the intake off.
Yeah. Because what I'm concerned about is the shape of it, is how close that gets to this, because it's got to draw around it. Is it the diameter of the intake pipe as opposed to it shrouding the intake area? Or what's that out of normally?
That's a GU 3 litre or 4.2, the same filter.
See, look, I can't tell you because I don't know. What I'm getting at is that the restriction?
Yeah.
Or is the diameter the restriction, or is it the restriction the area around
I think
here?
it'd be more around that. When you look at the filter that was on it compared to that,
yeah,
it's got a shitload more surface.
What I'm dreaming out loud is where is the restriction? Is the restriction to the area around it,
yep,
or is it the actual diameter of the intake of that area around it? I can't tell you that. I'm not smarter people to be able to work that out, but not me. But there is. You can see here, there is gains to be made and substantial gains to be made. The only other thing you could possibly do, which is no good for your off-road, is like they take an A31 or whatever it is, air filter.
And make an actual box for it that fits.
That seals nicely, yes. I can't tell you because I don't know. Is going, if you go back to an exposed filter, are you doing river crossings where
That's the plan. So I want to put a snorkel on that, which is why it's there.
Yeah, understood.
So I guess it's a bit of a...
You've still got some work to do.
Yeah.
but our job is done for
Yeah,
today.
yeah. We're not sure if it's the 3-inch intake tube, which I've stepped up to 3.5 there, or the actual design of that itself.
Yeah.
So, which Eric did spot as soon as he saw it, that's
Yeah,
pretty tight to the
yeah.
gas hat. It's all right. When I want to do quarter-mile runs, I'll just take the intake off. Isn't that right, Eric? I thought chrome made it go faster, but I took it off and it made more power, so work that out. Yeah, get the record of that number, the one that it'll never see.
That's air filter on, air filter off.
Yep.
So that's just a comparative between the two.
Yep.
So
Sweet. So, there's the final number, 72.6 kilowatts out of the rocket. Not an impressive number by modern standards, but you know what? I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way the car drives. And when you look at it, as Eric said, 10 kilowatts on 1,000, you're not going to notice it. But 10 kilowatts on 60 is a pretty big difference. Yeah, I'm stoked with it, but more the way in which it delivers power than the actual figure itself. So if I show you the sheet, there's big numbers, so, sit down for this. The red line is, the solid red line is the previous, and the blue is now. As you can see, this is speed across the bottom, 100 to 150, and kilowatts. You can see it. I mean, the results pretty much speak for themselves. Off the mark, when you look at the difference in the dyno sheet, is insane. So that's what I'm feeling on takeoff. So in peak, not a huge difference. I mean, 10 kilowatts is still, I'm happy, but down low, off the mark, it's great. So the car feels like, and I said this before we even put it on the dyno, it feels like it makes the same power at like 2,500 RPM as it did at 4.2 before. Like, it's just, the power comes on a lot quicker and then it stays there. It doesn't actually, you can look at that, it doesn't trail off, it just picks up a lot quicker. So yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, I wasn't originally planning on doing a cam or anything anyway, but if you're there doing it, you may as well. And yeah, the improvement's been massive. So now, as we did discuss, I had a great chat with Eric about this. The intake is slightly restrictive. We pulled it off just to trial it, and it made about 6 kilowatts more with no air intake on it. So that's no filter, obviously this tube and the adapter there. So it's kind of hard to tell where the restriction is in that. Obviously, any air filter is slightly restrictive. Could be the 3-inch tube into it, which I've stepped up. It's a 3.5-inch inlet to that adapter, which I stepped down to 3-inch because I thought that would be plenty and I didn't want to have clearance issues with the bonnet. But so there's a bit more investigating to do on that. Yeah, we might in the future maybe pull the air filter out, trial it with just the tube, then take the tube off, trial it with just the adapter, and see if that, yeah. But I mean, you're chasing pretty, I mean, again, 6 kilowatts, 5 or 6 kilowatts is something, but to be honest, I'm happy with the way the car performs. It's going to get a snorkel on the front of the intake anyway, so that's going to add, well, it's going to pretty much counter any restriction I get rid of. But it's just one of those interesting things. I mean, you say, oh yeah, the intake's restrictive, but it's still got a factory cast iron exhaust manifold on it too. So if you change that, you'd probably pick up a couple of kilowatts there as well. So it is interesting how many kilowatts and that you can pick up in just the minor things. But yeah, I'm not going chasing every, I'm not going chasing every little figure out of the car. So I'm happy with the way it's set up for now. I'm happy with the way it drives. Now that Eric's tuned it, it just drives so much smoother, delivers the power so much nicer. And yeah, so I'm stoked with it for now. And look, touch wood, the motor mods are done for now, all right? But I have said that before, so watch this space. We'll see where we go.